in this meeting.
Recording in progress.
Our meeting is just an engagement with the Makana Local Municipality, Amatole Water Board, Eastern Cape Cocta, and the Department of Water and Sanitation regarding the provision of water to citizens in the area of Makana. So that's what we'll be engaging on. I'm informed that we have got Deputy Minister Shabalala. Now I've had Honorable a DM as well from Water and Sanitation. We have got the Executive Mayor from Makana, as well as the chairperson of Amatole Water Board. And I'm also informed that the delegation from Cocta in the province would be led by the head of department. It's a list of them. In other words, everybody is present in the meeting. Let me welcome all of you and just indicate why we convened the meeting. It was caused by the protests that we noted at the beginning of May. That's what prompted us. Otherwise, we were aware about the plans to deal with the problem in Makana. And we thought, because we couldn't go to Makana, we thought then let's convene this meeting so that we can be updated as to whether the plan that was put in place after our session with the municipality, with the Department of Water and Sanitation, as well as Amatole Water Board, whether those plans were still in order. So that's basically why we had to convene this meeting, just to get an update if there are any challenges, and so that we can as well be on top of issues. So that's why we convened this meeting. I'm informed as well that it will be a joint presentation because Makana, the municipality, and as well as Amatole Water Board and the Department of Water and Sanitation. But before that, I will allow the political principals, if there are any issues they would want to, in other words, I'm handing over to yourselves in this order that the DM Chabalala, and as well as the executive mayor and the chairperson of the board, if there are any remarks you'd want to make before you hand over to the relevant person who is going to make the presentation. Okay. Can I allow you, DM?
All right, thank you so much, Chairperson. Truly appreciate it. Let me greet the members of the Portfolio Committee of Cocta. We really thank the invitation and taking from the BRR processes of this important subject.
Would be very happy to see you.
I wanted to say that, Chairperson, you can check my bandwidth is quite bad. I'll try to move during the course. I'll try to move so I can get a better thingy. And then when we continue, I'll be able to switch on my video. Humble apologies. Chair, I'm with DM Mahlobo, who's with me here. Please note the apology of the Minister of Water, Mr. Mkunu. He also has competing a meeting. With ourselves, we with DDG Rismati Mate, the provincial head, Ms. Portia Makanya, the Director of Compliance Monitoring Enforcement, Mr. Andrew Lucas, and the DWS project manager, Mr. Kobus Ferreira. And with the Amatole board, we're with Ms. Pemiako, the chairperson of the board, Mr. Ndumiso Chibilika, Amatole Water Board member, Sarah Batman, District Council chairperson, Mr. Siabulela Koyo, acting chief executive, and Mr. Sipelele Galada, chief financial officer. We're also with Mr. Sazile Kweleka, executive manager of operation. Chair, I'll just do a brief the remarks as part of opening, and I acknowledge the fact that we're with COCTA, and indeed I was told that the presentation that will be made, it's going to be a effort that they would have combined as officials. Now, Chair, we know that Makana is both a water service authority and a water service provider. Now, there has been a drought, and it still has its grip on some pockets of the Eastern Cape. Key to notice is the Nelson Mandela Bay Metropolitan Municipality, the Amatole District Municipality, and Sarah Batman District Municipality since 2015. Chair. The Makana Municipality town has therefore suffered, especially its locals on the western part of town. However, the recent good rains have really replenished the local dam supply Makanda on the west side. The treatment and storage capacity, it is also to be noted that this town has 2 treatment works. Both should be meeting the demand of Makanda. It has, however, been a very abnormal situation that these plants have been inconsistent or unreliable from time to time. Some causes are man-made and some through the natural disasters, as such service delivery gets heavily affected. Now, the upgrading through the regional bulk infrastructure, they are big from our side in support to the Water Services Authority as a Department of Water. The department saw it necessary to ensure improving the resilience of this city against drought by really funding the upgrade of the Eastern Waste water treatment works from the 10 megaliters per day to 20 megaliters per day, which will then meet the current demand of 18 megaliters per day once completed. Together, the 2 plants of Makanda will have a redundancy of 10 megaliters per day. It is expected, Chair, that the additional 10 megaliters per day will come online as was committed during the last engagement with the Portfolio Committee on the 1st of November 2022 with COCTA and other associated work in cleaning up the site, fencing, etc. will also continue. It will continue until December 2023, but will not have a bearing on the additional supply. Now, Chair, there's been delays that we know this project has not run smoothly as one would have expected. One, due to poor performance of contractors that led to the termination of the contract, the re-tendering due to a non-responsive bids, and the lack of capacity at the time of Amatole Water Board on project management. The interim board has made inroads in ensuring projects are unlocked. As such, we trust this project will deliver as expected for the remainder of the period. We shall closely monitor the rest of the outstanding work in the next phase. Now, the additional work, indeed, Chair, the work should have been completed last year, and this we should say from our side, but has been shifted to 2023. It is critical to look at the sustainability beyond construction, and as such, the department is compelled to provide technical solutions that will protect the James Clean Hands water treatment works from the repeated flooding of pumps and eliminate human errors that have been a cause of this past. This then means more work on the phase 3 and before a project handover. The James Clean Hands Water Treatment Works Chair supplies Makanda East and gets water from the Orange and Fish rivers with a capacity to pump a maximum of 13 megaliters per day. The project cost is 393 million. I'm told, and this has been funded in phases. It is our interest that local SMMEs get to participate and that communities should be able to get jobs from such interventions, and of concern remaining the ability for our side to maintain and ensure reliable supply to the municipality, given that the current internal matters at the Water Service Authority have largely contributed to the current operational challenges. The department has mobilized resources from its entity, Amatole Water Board, to stabilize the supply. And the team is working with the WSA team to ensure WANEC WTW on the western side is operational, and that the outages is minimized, Chairperson. Our focus as well is also on the water quality that we also have said at a leadership level, that is also on the water quality aspect in partnership with the relevant sector departments, including the health department, education, and COCTA, so that there is this awareness creation and education programs that have been activated at Makanda in the past 2 weeks since the detection of the E. coli bacteria, over and above the improvements on the treatment at the water treatment plant and storage reservoirs. So there has been a number of that indeed, including Rhodes University, has also added the sampling and testing of drinking water over and above routine sampling done by the Water Service Authority and recently the Amatole Water. So we will ensure, Chair, that the bulk supply is stabilized before withdrawing the Amatole Water Board necessarily. There's been a number of BRR recommendations that at the level of the leadership with dear Mahlobo, that would have looked at those recommendations that the portfolio would have made and indicated, including in the BRR report, Chairperson. And indeed, the Makana Local Municipality is grappling with these problems relating to the access to drinkable water. And following the floods of April 2022, the Ports and St. John's local municipalities also experiencing water shortages. Some communities are swimming in sewer. The floods also have left Ward 6 in Singa local municipality without access to water. In Ladysmith, some police stations and hospitals do not have this access to water. So the recommendations by the portfolio committee that the Auditor General and the Department of Culture should strive to find common ground regarding the potential irregularities identified in the process of this appointing of latest cohorts of implementing agencies. So perhaps let me leave it at that, Chairperson, and safe to say Ms. Portia Makana is the one that is going to do the presentation. If you were to allow, Chair, through you, that we give her the opportunity to do the presentation. She should keep it nice, short and sweet, so that we are able to engage with the portfolio, because I saw the agenda that we have got about 30 minutes for this presentation. So over to you, Chairperson, if you allow that Ms. Portia to come in. Thank you so much.
In fact, let me have this tripartite arrangement. Just something from maybe Honorable Mahlobo, if there's anything from then followed by the executive mayor, and then lastly chairperson. Just comments before we allow Ms. Makanya to proceed. Honorable Mahlobo.
Thank you very much, Chair, Honorable Mkwati, and members, and DM Chabalala and the executive mayor. I would suggest, Chair, at this stage, I hold back. The DM has led us well. I will come in during the discussions at the time after our teams have made presentations. And you will also guide us, Chair, towards the end, because I could see that there are other stakeholders who are on the platform. How are we going to get their details? Because there are other matters that they are referring to us as a Ministry of Water. But at this stage, Mkwati, let's allow you to proceed with the meeting. But after the presentations are being made, if there are matters of emphasis or response, I will come in at that time to support DM Shabalala.
Executive Mayor. The executive mayor of Makanda.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, the presentation that was presented here by the department, it's a presentation that is coming from both, that has inputs of Makana. Yes, indeed, Chair, there has been engagements with the department and Amatole Board. And Chair, yes, project has been delayed. And since we have met after the new contractor that has been appointed, we have been promised that the project will be delivered, will be done. The additional 10 megaliters will be delivered by the end of June. And in the last meeting we had with them, that was on 2 weeks ago, they still confirmed that the additional 10 megaliters will still be delivered at the end of June. Understanding that there will still be other continuation of the work that will be done up until November, December this year. So yeah, Chair, I think because what I can talk on is what is in the presentation. The presentation is a true reflection of the current situation and the challenges that we are currently faced with in Makana, and the support that we're getting from Amatole through the Department of Water Affairs. Thank you very much, Chair. I'll come in, Chair, when there are questions during the discussions. Then if there are questions that are directed to us, I'll come in to respond.
Chairperson, Chairperson of Amatole Water Board, we just want to make sure that what is getting presented is acknowledged by everybody. Over to you, Chairperson.
Excuse me, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, deputy ministers in attendance, as well as colleagues from the department, and Honorable Mayor and other councillors or political leadership from Makana. Mine is just to, as the chairperson has indicated, to indicate that we've been part of the process since we took office last year as a board, as the interim board of Amatole Water. So even today, in the presentation, Chairperson, as you had indicated, we are party to it because we're working, as you indicated, as a tripartite on this matter. So, as indicated, if there's any questions or anything that pertain to us as Amatole Water specifically, we will deal with those, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ms. Makana, over to you.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, and please allow me to say all protocol observed to the leadership on the platform and everyone. My name is Portia Makana. I'm currently seated with the Amatole Water colleagues at the Amatole Water Board. I'll be presenting the presentation that had inputs from all of us, as already indicated, COPTA, Makana, Amatole Water, and ourselves. Chairperson, the overview is basically on the challenges. I'm hoping I've got the right, Joy, the right version from my side. But this is the context within which we're presenting, as requested by the committee, to talk about exactly where the project is and whether we're still going to meet the target for the additional water as was promised on November.
We can't see the presentation. We can only see people sitting.
Okay, let me reshare check. Apologies. I'm just trying to share. Yeah, there it is. Share.
Presentation.
Yes, you can see it now.
Thank you, James. Apologies. Chair, as per the request, the progress on James can enhance the financial implications on the project and the challenges, as well as specifically Makanda rationing and mitigating measures that are in place to provide water to the community. Chair, I think without going into reading each slide, I will just talk to them in order to save time. There are more slides for further information, but just to say that as we all recall, Makanda has got two water treatment systems, one in the west and one in the east. And both of them are supplied by a number of dams as indicated on the first bullet. But what we can say, as the Honorable DM has already alluded to, is that the
Chairperson, Honorable Mkwat, I have the Pescopo Gaposhiale, email Mkwat. Thank you.
Emile, I move, yes. Can it move?
Are we able to see the slide number 4, honorable members?
If I go slide show portion, it's a we cover page.
Or maybe someone can. We'll start sharing again. Are we able to see now, honorable members?
No.
Okay, I'll share again.
Yes, see now. Yeah.
Maybe I should leave it because when I take it to slideshow, it seems to be losing everyone.
But you can see now. Yes, it is moving.
All right, I'm on slide 6 as it is, but I'll go back to where I was to slide 4. Honorable members, as I've said, this town is served by, or this Makanda community is served by those 2 treatment works. And as we've said, these dams that are serving this town, especially those on the west that have been hit by drought, have since recovered. Then the water resource issue is not an issue. It is rather the operation and maintenance and the supply of the water to the community that is currently a challenge. But I must say these 2 systems are interconnected. So there is a way of transferring water from the east to the west if needs be, and vice versa. Now, this is just a map showing this layout of what that I've just described, so that we just have a picture of view of what we're saying. On the top left is the James Cleanance, the one that is in question. That one getting water from Glen Melville Dam. Glen Melville Dam itself getting its water from the Harib Dam to a stream of canals and river systems. So this is the one that we are currently very interested in, because the one here that is Vinek is served by these two dams that are more than often prone to drought. And just a point I need to raise that these are very steep slopes to these treatment works, and James enhanced to this Waters Hill, and that has often been the problem, as it is indicated in this next slide, that it is not only now that we have found that there's problems at Makana. We know for some years now, and these are the common reasons, without getting into this into further detail as it will be covered again. Now, the question today and the current frustration is because, as we've said, the capacity or the demand is 18 megaliters, and both systems can supply that, and the dams have sufficient water to do so. So we should not have shortages of water. Currently, the western part, which is a Vinex system, is not operational because of not any activity happening of pumping between the dam and the pump station. There are currently, as we speak, divers on site that have discovered a lot of debris in the pipelines and salt, and they are working on that through the deployment of Amatole Water to be able to look at that. And the pump that has also gone for some further inspections in Joburg, where the supplier or the manufacturer is again on site, and all of those alignments are happening currently. So the team is setting up this, trying to correct this. Now this system is immediately taking away 8 megaliters that could be provided to Makana. Now, what is happening is the 10 megaliters that is currently happening from the eastern side, that is now the James Clay Enhanced, that is what the municipality is currently depending on for this community. And that is the project that we're saying, because this site is never really hit by drought, we are increasing its capacity to 20 megaliters. And when this is treated, when this is done, 20 megaliters will be in place and 18 megaliter demand would be met with an additional 2 megaliters on this particular site. However, together with Harvest and Sport, we know that we would have 28 megaliters out of the 18 megaliters that is needed. Now, without wasting more time, just to say that this plant is currently at advanced stages, but the project itself, we will talk to it at the next slide. The rationing element of water currently happens because of what I've already indicated of the shortfall. This 10 megaliters of James Clay Enhanced is pushed to its maximum to be able to then serve the whole of Makanda through that interconnected system, the valves that are there, but the shortfall remains because we still need that 8 megaliters. This is just another view just to show so that we have a picture of what we're talking about. If the honorable members can see my cursor at the bottom, this is where James Hans treatment works is, and up to a steep slope, the treated water is then pumped to Waters Hill. Then this Waters Hill reservoir then gets filled. There are 2 reservoirs there that then allow filling of other reservoirs across the city. Here's the valve interconnecting, getting to all of these lower reservoirs, intermediate and higher reservoirs, so that these first get full in fact, not even full, to about 80%, and then water is released to everyone. This is an engagement that the municipality had with its stakeholders to allow at least equitable distribution of water across, so that everyone can get water. So what this means is that they, in my next slide, this means therefore that on 2 days, this process of filling these reservoirs happens, and then on the 3rd day, all water is released to all communities. However, in low-lying areas where the water reaches first, as we would expect, people then they would fill bigger containers, including JoJo tanks or just rainwater tanks, because of wanting to be having abundance during the off days. And this still results to some areas, as they are listed there, to be still without water. And therefore, tankering is happening on those areas, to serve those areas that are not supplied. Now, this is that is the short-term measures that are put in. It is to ration and to tanker. Now, what needs to happen for medium-term to long-term? And we know now we've been promising that June will be the month when we have the 10 megaliters. As the team is reporting and contractors on site, it is still the plan, and that by end of June we will still have that that additional supply. However, some of the challenges include now the pumping capacity to make sure that we be able to pump that 20 megaliters. There are pumps that are currently 2 pumps that are operating. And for these 20 megaliters, you would need 3 pumps to run at one go. And we have those 2 pumps. So the risk is that we need to bring back the pumps to make sure that we don't run out of that capacity. And the pumps are already with and the motors are already with the manufacturers or service providers. And once payment is made, they will be back on site within the next week or 2. So we will have that redundancy before the month end of June. So we'll be able, so that when we get there, there is sufficient pumping capacity. As we have said, and I think as Honorable DM has already indicated, the support provided to the municipality through the deployment of Amatole Water Board. We would know that Amatole Water Board, it would be the 3rd time that they are deployed in that space. This time around, where bulk issues of a similar nature were experienced. The DWS has allocated an additional 15 million to be able to fix key components in Harvison's port and replace those, and also make sure that we stabilize the bulk supply both at Harvison's port and James Lynans. And the intention is to really get the western side going as soon as possible, so that both systems can run effectively. Now, we cannot, as much as the portfolio committee requested rationing and other measures to be put in place to ensure access as well as the project, we thought that given the recent emerging challenges of water quality, we need to say something about it. And what we are saying here is that we have all seen the boil water notice that was issued by Makana, and that followed a regulatory process that the department has activated, and to make sure that we rather prevent disaster than only be reactive when we see, when we have picked up that there are incidents of failure in certain samples. Now, the main issue was the delayed delivery of gas chlorine and the reliance on granules, HDH granules, for treating the water at all of these areas. Now, that has since been resolved. Gas chlorine has been delivered and inserted or connected, and now there is a strict monitoring of these sites. Rose University has joined Makana in partnership to make sure that more samples are taken. So Makana has IDZ, Island and IDZ that looks at its samples. Amatole Water did some tests as well as roads. There's a combination of results, and there are hotspots that are still closely monitored. And the main issue is to then say, since the treatment plant, there has been zero E. coli there and in many other parts, those hotspots and the cause maybe of which reservoirs would be feeding those areas has been looked at, including the tankers themselves as well, where chlorine is, where water is treated. Now, what happens with the 2 days of storage of these reservoirs, chlorine levels would drop. Now, what happens to improve the quality as well is before water is released, even if it came with it came treated from the treatment plant with zero E. coli, we still put in chlorine on the reservoirs themselves before releasing to make sure that we minimize the risk. Then the boil water notice will only be withdrawn once we all are satisfied that we have won this battle. These are some just of the failed sites during those days, and we are monitoring this. We know roads have come in with more samples, but at the indoor spot center, as we have seen it, and some the police station from the roads samples, although not as we on a daily basis we get those updates and we respond accordingly. But coupled with that, we know that there's nothing more important than also creating awareness so that people can be aware of the risks as well as cross infection and be able to deal with waterborne diseases, and also on how to avoid cross infection within the household. There has been a joint effort between the municipality, its wards councillors, ward committees, and the Department of Health, as well as COPTA, in terms of creating these awareness. Bar soaps and sanitizers were also part of, and pamphlets were also part of the material. We're looking at also supplying bleach to the affected areas, to especially the communities that could be linked to the hotspots, and we'll be able to provide that awareness in order to combat. And there hasn't been any reports from the Department of Health on symptoms of waterborne diseases like diarrhea and the rest. So we're working very closely with them. At the regional level, we have set up a task team with all municipalities, as well as the relevant departments, to be able to get informed once there are those incidents. Now, the main issue has been, as I've said, the maintenance of the infrastructure by the municipality, and mainly because they are financially stretched. Currently, we know that they should set aside 8% for operation and maintenance from their budget, from their revenue, but this is not the case because of various other matters, I think, that even the committee would be aware of. Then the repeated incidents at James Lane Hans that has really been hardly felt, and large of it is the flooding of those pumps. Then it means that plant will be off for 7 days. And more than often, suspected negligence has been an issue. And we are awaiting that report from Makana, even on the last incident that happened recently, that has led to the current pumps being with the supplier. They are investigating the matter. However, we know that this has been repeating, and the intervention there is to now install a drainage pipe, because those pumps are below surface level. So a drainage pump to deal with the flooding will then avoid future blocking, because this is an important treatment plant for the city. Now, the procurement delays has been a major issue. Supply chain issues at the municipality has been a cause of poor spending across all grants, as even the gas chlorine could have been resolved earlier, but provincial treasury together with COCTA and all of us are monitoring those grants. And in fact, there is a financial recovery plan that is being worked on. Just a week ago, we were there with led by the HOD COCTA as well as provincial treasury senior leadership, just also on the very same financial recovery plan. Now, inadequate capacity, there is an issue of technical skills. That is why Amatole Water is there now. We're looking at even extending their oversight even on other towns, like Alistair and Riebeck is. But for now, the red spot, the hotspot is Makana. Revenue management, we are assisting them with smart meters and prepaid meters. Now, a chairperson that deals with mainly the water supply and the measures that are there. Now, on this specific one, the James Lynn Heights, I'll fly through it to get to the actual point where we want to be. Just to say, yes, there has been serious delays on the plant itself. And there has been a number of contractors that have come on board and terminated due to poor performance. The first, even in the first phase, there was a contractor that was there and it had to be terminated. And in the very same phase, a contractor called Mamlambo came in to rescue the situation, and with some other delays, however, have completed the works. But this was a lifesaver at the time, and that is before COVID. And but this is the work that has been done during that phase. Members can look at it at their own, free time. But then this is just to show, this is what was before, and this is what we say has been done in terms of the first phase. I'm not going to go into detail because I think we want to go to the end where we want to see, as the chairperson has said, we said we're going to go end of June, are we there? But this is also to account on the timelines. This Mamlambo, as I've said, was the first contractor. I mean, he completed phase one successfully. He won the bid for the second phase as well. And unfortunately, COVID kicked in, and financially, they were strapped as well. And there was a lot of negative impact of COVID. They became liquidated and they were struggling, and they had to be terminated. And but during the time when we presented to the committee, it was on the 1st, and on the 1st of November, we did say that by end of November, we would have had final appointment. This is just to illustrate that that indeed was done. And as much as we had planned that an anticipated site establishment by 15 December, it could only happen after the Labour Department has authorized issued a permit for the contractor to do so, which was received. Now, the next step is really to look at the 10 megaliters per day, but that is what has been done and what has been in place during phase 2. And this is the SMME involvement during that phase, and as well as what is currently with the new contractor, and hoping that still new work will be done. This is the jobs that have been created in this whole project, but there is a phase 3. So we're talking about June having 20 megaliters and all other infrastructure that would support the pumping to of the utilization of the 20 megaliters. In terms of the upgrades that needed to be done at the plant, those are there. The inlet is already allowing for 20 megaliters to be treated at the plant. It is just these minor other but critical components that will be employed. But as I've said earlier, this pump always gets flooded. That red line is the pipeline that has come in and cost additional funding to this. It's costing in the region of 80 or around 90 million for that, because to avoid the flooding and protecting the pumps that are there. Now, this is the procurement plan of this phase. And again, this phase is not going to impact on the ability of the 20 megaliters to be there. It is to make sure that the whole plant at the end of the day, when the contractor walks away or Amatole walks away, it has been refurbished. And this is the works program. Now, there's been an issue around budget of this project. This is what the project so far is costing, 393 million. We have seen some other figures of 600 and others, and maybe that needs further investigation and if more information can be supplied. This is what the department has funded, and this is what has been expended on this program for all of these phases, the phase 1, the phase 2, and the phase 3 costs, and this is where we are. And the phases are broken down, all of those figures given, I've broken down the slide to be able to account for each figure line, a budget line item there that makes up the 393 million. And but the project has really delayed because of poor performance of previous contractors, and even the current one had to battle to hit the ground running because he had to inherit, there was material on site, they had to be quantified, they had to pay people that were, there were SMMEs, there were people employed on the project. There was that process to make sure that there are no stoppages. But that has since happened, and there is, of course, a tight time frame and schedule of ensuring that 20 megaliters is achieved. So there's currently no one sleeping. Everyone is talking, sleeping, dreaming that. And what is important that we work on, we had a meeting even yesterday with Makana, is to make sure that the pumps that are with the suppliers are returned, and we have we have a process looking at that to make sure that once we have the additional 10 megaliters, that we are able to sustain it. Now, it is just to say the accelerated program is there. And as much as we're talking about phase 3, we would want to shorten even the period going forward to make sure that we are able to deliver on that phase even earlier. But the 20 megaliters will not be impacted on. And contract 3 is, as I've said, starting in 2024, but we really hope that we can even fast track those processes. And the next is just a detailed program to be able to say what are the nitty-gritties, what are those specifics that need to happen that make us sure that we will meet this deadline, and they are indicated on the slides to follow. Chairperson, and I think that is the end of the presentation. Thank you, Chair. It's an annexure.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Makana. Honorable members, maybe the first explanation I should give, Honorable Mahlobo, our meetings are open, and the people that I'm informed are part of this, are stakeholders from Makana. And unfortunately, Makana, it's a very active citizenry that is there, but our engagement is with yourselves, Amatole Water and the municipality. We are doing that on behalf of those citizens as well. But they keep on writing some messages. I think we can as well inform them that they will not be actively participating. but a list would be sent to yourselves to understand who is part of the meeting. Now, honorable members, it's your turn. Engaging the presentation will be guided by your hands. I can see Honorable Opperman is the first one, number 2, Honorable Teza, number 3, Honorable Spies. I'll be taking names as they come. Who else is there? Okay, can I allow Honorable Opperman?
Chairperson, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity. I'd like to know, Chair, at what percentage are they chemical monitoring compliance? Because they did mention about the E. coli in the water in February and in May this year. So I want to know what mitigating measures are in place should there be a cholera outbreak. And I want to know about the chemical monitoring compliance because it impacts on the safety of water, and it's a serious health risk if water safety cannot be guaranteed to the public. Then Lambo construction had to be replaced, so I want to know, have any monies been recovered from that contractor? And what are the status of the high lift pumps? How many breakages have there been? How many downtime have there been? And what are the effects of load shedding on the pumping and storage? How long does it take after load shedding for the pumps to pump sufficient water again? And then there was negligence suspected for the constant flooding at James Kleinhaus Waterworks. Have they, that was for that process controller there, has he or she been investigated? And what consequence management has there been? I want to know, are the Vinex system now fully operational after recovery from the drought? And if not, why are the system unable to abstract water from Howison Poort Dam? And how much of the debris that you mentioned have been cleared so far? And why is it taking so long for a simple task like removing debris from pipelines to be completed? Then I want to know, the original upgrading for that James Kleinhaus treatment works was 101.8 million. And in the presentation, it was stated that it is now 393 million. So it's a cost overrun of 290 million. I want to know, what are the reasons for this cost overrun? And have you reported on the escalation in these project costs? And when was the date when you reported last? And then I want to know, what operational challenges still exist at the Vinex water treatment works? And have you done a project costing for the repairs at the Vinex project works? And there was a commitment to ensure reliable water supply by the end of June, by the end of this month. And who is monitoring that process? And how often are assessment done by council? And when was the last monitoring report to council? And when last have they physically walked the pipelines? And how much water are actually lost en route to the end user? And then there was protest in May, in last month. Has that been resolved? And what was the key concerns? Thank you, Chairperson.
Much. The next speaker is Honorable Teza.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Service delayed is service denied, Chair. It's a clear undertaking. We know very well that the people that will suffer is the communities. And as we have seen in protest in Makana Municipality, which is this Water Service Board, the blue drop, Chair, of that happened yesterday, happened 12 years ago in 2012. And this indicates that between 2012 and now, the municipalities have not taken care of water. Hence, you find issues in Hanmaskral of the escalation of the number of deaths there, because again, there is no plan. There are no contingencies that this could happen. There are no contingencies that this would affect the water infrastructure from the department's point of view. And the internal capacity is questioned of the municipality to be able to deliver on those services on time. That what we see here, Chairperson, is the delay of water service project that continues to escalate a budget for the upgrade of the James Glenda's water treatment works, which was originally sitting at 101 million, and then envisaged to cover the project, which was envisaged to cover the project, 101.8 million for the fourth phase. Later, it was again revised to 237.6 million. And now it's sitting at 393 with the cost overrun of 290. We therefore need to be explained, Chair, as to how this cost kept escalating. What are the detailed issues that prompted the escalation up to the overrun of 290? Because we have always been saying here in the committee that there should be a consistent budgeted projects in the municipalities. This is another pure example of why the committee should get an SIU report, Chair, on the SI, so that even the company that left there, I don't know which company is that. They have not given us the name of the company and what made the company to leave to leave the project while we are still in the process. Why has the project left? Look, in section 116 of the MFMA, here they speak of poor performance of the contract. It says there in 2A, accounting officer of a municipality and municipality take all reasonable steps to ensure that a contract or agreement produced through the supply chain policy of the municipality is properly enforced. Then it further goes that to oversee the day-to-day management of the contract and agreement. So what recovery plans have the municipality taken to ensure that the monies that were used are recovered? It looks like the council is not effective as well, because in C it says regularly reporting to the council of the municipality or the board of the entity. Why is the municipality failing to employ experienced mechanics to service the pampas? Because they are saying that the pampas have been affected. And the other question on that is, if you are saying that the pampas have been failing, really, what prompts that particular set of events there? What other preventive measures have you have the municipality taken in ensuring? Because, Chair, there was a survey that was done which detected the E. coli there. And in light of what is happening in the country now, and the fact that I've raised this issue on the period between 2012 and now, that we haven't been taking care of our water, apart from what Section 27 is saying. Why is it that the Department of Health at the provincial level does not give us a thoroughgoing explanation and detailed presentation into what are the mitigating measures into cholera, so that we can have a preemptive measure to clamp down or mitigate before things happen, and not speak after the crisis all the time. Let me go there, Chair. The CFO here in this municipality resigned in the Makana, and Makana stopped paying their bills in full again. What is it that prompted the CFO to resign following the High Court action that the community of Makana had come to agreement about paying the ESCOM backlog in terms of to exempt the water infrastructure, at least partially, from load shedding as part of a High Court action? What prompted the CFO to then resign? We would like to hear details about that. The municipality proposes that in slide 6, both water schemes require high lift pumps to deliver water into the city, and that pumps are plagued by frequent breakages and downtime. Why couldn't they get the pumps from the escalating a budget that keeps escalating from 101 to 393? And what possibly, because it looks like we're going to be having that scenario there. So can they give us clarity? So if there was no load shedding, for instance, what other excuses would you have given us for water pumping and storage on the western side? Because you are saying that the eastern system has been exempted from load shedding by ESCOM. So what other excuses would you have given us? Because the money you were given, the money you are using, and the contractors are leaving the projects before they are close-out reports. What it is that because you see, this frustrates the community now. It frustrated completely, and if you are not finishing on time, of course you are going to get another protest there. And people have a right in terms of Section 17 to protest, actually, and continue to protest until the delivery of service is done. And the target that you are saying is 30 June has been another target that has been put here, which has not been met. So please clarify us on these matters. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Space.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning, colleagues, and to the community or residents on the platform. Chair, I'm going to ask permission. I just wanted to show my face so people see, can put a face to the voice. So I'm going to ask permission to put off my video, if that is okay.
It's okay.
Thank you, sir. Chairperson, we have visited this area last year in September, if I am correct. And it seems to me, from what I've heard, that very little has happened since we have had that oversight in the municipality. Chairperson, I am astounded by the interest by the community on this platform, and we have never in any of our engagements had such a interest. And that is an indication to me that there are serious problems and that in many instances, we have been taken for a ride by the presenters. And that, Chairperson, I want to say from the onset, is unacceptable. There is something much deeper going on there that really cannot be brushed over. And if it means and it warrants us to go to that area again, we have to do that. I want to focus on three things, Chair. There is a serious problem in terms of competency.
I can't hear you well, Honorable Space. I don't know what is the problem.
No, have you not heard anything I said, Chair?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. So where must I recoup again? From which part did you not hear me? Because I want the people to hear me.
No, do anything for the people to hear you. I will not be able because I'm not, I didn't hear.
Okay,
So
Chair.
I don't know where you were.
Chair, if I may assist, I was listening from the part, Honorable Spees, that you said you are astounded by the performance of the attendance of the community. That means that you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Kaiser, for that. So I want to say, if you can hear me properly, and I repeat it very quickly, is that I am astounded by the interest from the community on this particular matter, which is an indication to me, and should it be an indication to us, that there are much more serious problems than is presented to us. And that I do believe we have been taken for a ride, because a community with such factual information on a platform cannot be ignored. And I really want to say that that is for me a serious concern, and that for me indicates and it warrants us to actually go to that area again since our visit last year. There are three things I would like to focus on, Chair, and the first thing is the competency issue. And secondly, it's the political oversight. And then it's also the wasteful expenditure that has been going on this particular project. Chair, I think it's important that that an audit be done of the qualifications of the staff that is responsible for water management in that municipality. If you look at the problems that is experienced, you need highly specialized engineers to do such to deal with such high-end challenges. I want to know whether the officials, responsible are properly qualified. We need to see their qualifications, their experience. I want to understand if there's mechanical engineers in that municipality, because things have just been deteriorated. Chair, if you look at what happened before 2019, because around 2019, if I'm correct, the Jan Kleinans water treatment works in Port, they were all managed by a company within Grahamstown that specialized in water reticulation. Then it was handed over to the municipality. And my recollection of what I've been reading is that everything was intact and was operational until it was handed over. And since that time, it was crisis after crisis revolving around pump issues at both of those treatment works. And it comes down to the people who are handling this is not properly qualified. Chair, I want to understand whether there has been a Section 106 investigation embarked upon. If not, something must be seriously done in terms of that. And if there was, one needs to have that report. Chair, I don't understand how a municipality can say that they are doing water rationing, but yet meter readings are not taking place on a regular basis. I want to understand when the official spoke to us with regards to the delay on gas chlorine. What is the is there a problem is their dose meter system working in terms of the gas chlorine? I want to understand how often has these gas chlorine meters been calibrated? Has it been repaired? And how on earth can you use swimming pool chlorine instead of gas chlorine? And it's just criminal, as one of the people have already said on the platform. I want to understand water samples. Now, yes, we have a problem with water provision, but water provision and water quality goes hand in hand. I want to understand what is the frequency of testing water. How often are water samples being taken? Because I believe that recently there was a water sample taken, and it is concerning to note what has happened after that sample has been taken and the report that has been given in that regard, Chairperson. I want to just allude to you to the fact of what has happened with that. It says that there was the environmental health section was sampling the drinking water on the 31st of May. And some results are not so great, others are not so bad. And there's a recommendation that chlorine gas meters be calibrated and repaired to prevent any other challenges. And if the meters are not working properly, then the amount of chlorine gas could be incorrect and the dosage will be wrong and the results will fail, and that will have a huge impact. The notice to the public is still valid and must not be withdrawn. Please notify this section when all the challenges have been sorted out and when more samples should be taken. This is from a report that was done just recently, Chair. I want to say to you, Chairperson, we are not doing justice to this crisis in Makana. It cannot be dealt with in 2 hours. There are serious things, and I want us to seriously consider what the community has been telling us on this platform. Because if this is what is happening on the ground, we are going to be complicit if we are not going to ignore this and not take this up serious. So this committee needs to apply its mind and make serious recommendations. And I want to say we cannot let this go. And surely I'm not going to let this go, because we are doing a serious injustice to the community in that particular area. Specifically, after we've been to that area, we have listened to what people have said. And you sit with a municipality, and I said it in that meeting in Makana, you sit with an intellectual knowledge pool, a skills pool of people sitting there offering their help in that meeting. And it still seems that that has not even been taken up by that municipality. And that to me is an indication that they're not serious about addressing the problems that people are experiencing, which means they don't have the interest of people at heart, Chair. A lot can be said about what is happening there, but I don't think we should be wasting our time by saying a lot. We should actually put things in action and see whether we can get tangible outcomes from this, and a follow-up visit to that area, and also to embark on serious investigations around what is happening and transpiring in that municipality. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Honorable Smale.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just also do the same. I'll just put a face to the video and then I will just go offline. Thank you. Chairperson, not to amplify what the speaker said, but I want to amplify one or two things of the previous speaker, Honorable Spies. And it is about the credibility of some of the information that has been shared, or maybe the deliberate attempt not to be as transparent as what we should be. There are some certain things that I would hope that the committee would resolve at the end of the day when we are looking at some of this information. I think first of all, there are two things. We are not supplying enough water, and secondly, we are not supplying quality water. And when we are talking about the inability of supplying clean, drinkable, safe water, and we're looking at the testing results around the microbiological monitoring compliances, we're looking at chemical compliances, we're looking at chemical monitoring compliances, and we're looking at the technical skills and the ability of the institution to put forward a water safety plan. On those four scale points, the Water Authority is failing the citizens, and it therefore requires a pro-action or reports of some sort of accountability in that regard. Secondly, I cannot understand that the Water Authority is not monitoring the quality of water according to the regulatory framework, and that we only report on a few days. So, Chairperson, I would very much like to see a full report on the last year since the visit until now, to see how often has the Water Authority actually monitored the water quality. What was what was the full compliance on that regard? Secondly, the use of chemicals to clean the water. What exactly was procured over the time? How much was procured over the time? As well as, because the reason why I question some of the excuses, if you do read some of the reports or comments that have been made, the inability to pay Eskom for power, the inability to pay for the water that was received, speaks to a cash-strapped municipality, a cash-strapped institution, and therefore there are shortcuts being taken. So I would want to see a detailed report on the actual funds that are actually gone into those sectors that I've mentioned towards compliance in that regard. There's also a clear indication of possible fruitless and wasteful expenditure and the abuse of funds in that regard. My question is to the Water Authority simply, why is there no forensic audit being done currently on phase 1 and on the phases that has been implemented? Because the AG has indicated some wrongdoings in that regard and has indicated some material misstatements in that regard. So where are we to launch a full forensic audit? And has any action been taken against the previous contractor? And when, and because it also speaks to your monitoring of a failing contractor that cannot supply or did not supply, and that is probably left to a fruitless and wasteful expenditure. So we need to get a full financial report, Chairperson, before we actually go to the site, that speaks to the unwanted expenditure that took place in this report going forward. Questions. There's one thing to answer today on the installation of calibrated inflow meters to verify the operational capacity. Those things, yes, they might speak to them today, but I would like them to formally communicate that the answers to the committee, as it would verify the status of the communication. The upping of the water license, so we're talking about the capacity of 18 megaliters, going to the next level of the use of electricity. It requires a update of a water license. What is the current status of that water license? To what levels would the water authority be able to deliver to the specific municipality, so that we don't find ourselves wanted in that regard? And there's also reports in around the capabilities and the management of the water authority in this regard. What is the current status about skills and possible filling of key vacancies within that that institution that would lead to a better performance by the maintenance team, especially if one evaluates the continuous challenges that are being faced by the infrastructure due to possible the lack of maintenance or aging infrastructure. So I just would like to understand that, Chairperson, and then the scope of phase 1 and 2, the scope of putting such a mega infrastructure together. It requires due diligence reports that has been put forward by expertise. Is it possible for this committee to get our hands onto that report so that we can understand the magnitude of expending or planning to spend nearly 400 million rand on a project? And so, yeah, so those are some of my recommendations, and the others would be some comments. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Can we now acknowledge Honorable Banchaba? Next speaker.
Thank you, Chairperson. I want to apologize for me to do not show my video. Is a problem. We have a problem here since early in the morning. Our transformer burst, so there is a problem. If you are, I can show this. Chair, thank you, Chairperson. Let me greeting to honorable members who are in the platform, and also ministers and deputy ministers, chairpersons. Chair, my question, it will be on this, Chair, because we visited these areas, Chair, and the people told us about their frustration about waters. And also, Chair, there was a special investigation unit, SIU, was due to able to table its investigation report on the escalation in project cost. Have the department and the water board been finished with this report, Chair? Chairperson, in a previous presentation, the Amatole Water Board indicated that there is a budget shortfall of the approximately of the amount was 175 million required to implement, to complete the James Glen Haynes project. So the James Glen Haynes project, Chairperson, has this shortfall been addressed? If yes, what was the implication on that? Also, Chair, the upgrading of the James Clean's Hands water treatment works was originally arranged in 4 phases. But Chair, now there is a talk of only 3 phases. What happened to the other phrase, to the others? How many water tankers are currently in use in Makana? What is the duration of the contract, and how much is the municipality paying for this? Chairperson, what is the name of the replacement contract for Mamlambo Construction? What due diligence has been undertaken to ensure that the replacement contract has sufficient liquidity, and that there will be no further project implementation delays? In conclusion, Chair, my question also is this project delays monitored by the municipality? Why, if yes, why they will be waiting for community to rise and bend tires before they talk about it to rectify problem according to the contractors who's delayed to finish the project? And also, Chair, why they will be waiting for us as a committee to do our oversight for them to make sure that now they are speed up being to terminate the contract of the project that is not being finished on time. And also now the money is short, is a shortage of the money to finish the project. Chairperson, don't they think this municipality or officials, they are stealing the money of the government from the poor of the poorest because they are getting paid for them to doing nothing to the community? If people they can cry about water in this time, in the democracy, do you think there are people who are hired to work to do their work? If yes, which means they are sleeping on duty. Why they are sleeping on duty? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I see. No. I see the hand of Honorable Teza. I think you might have left something, but I'll allow you because I don't see further hands.
Okay, Chair, I've left some.
Chair, my hand is there. Chairperson, my hand is up there.
Then you are the one who should start. Honorable Mpumza, I only see it now. Over to you, Honorable Mpumza. Honorable Mpumza, over to you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good morning, and honorable members. Hello, Chair.
Good morning. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good morning to you, honorable members, the deputy ministers, the mayor, the leadership, and the board, as well as officials in the meeting. Chair, in appreciating this particular report that we have been given, we are recognizing that the report is citing 3 key challenges that are impeding the 2 water systems in the west and the east to provide the necessary 10 to 13 and 8 megaliters respectively. Among those 3 challenges that are cited in the report, may I share close my video so that I may be able, with your permission. Thanks, Chair. Is citing the question of the inadequate maintenance, infrastructure maintenance, and as well as the issue of drought and the debris that is getting into the pipeline, as well as flooding. And then this has forced the department and the municipality to take an alternative measure of providing water to communities through water tankering. And it's well known that the question of water tankering is very unsustainable. And critically, if it is not monitored closely, because it is a business, the likelihood is that contaminated water might be transported to communities. And as a result, we might end up getting into another crisis of an outbreak of a cholera. As now the department has put on a water boiler notice as a matter to ensure that the communities, they are wide awake to ensure that they are actually getting a quality drinkable water. My question, Chair, to this platform is that, is there a clear plan? Because, Chair, perhaps we need here a sense of urgency. Water is life, and the quality water cannot be compromised in rendering into the communities. Now we're told that there is a debris getting into the pipeline, actually reducing the supply in the Vinex system because the system itself could not abstract water from the necessary depth because of the debris that has got into the pipeline. Is there a plan, a clear plan in place to clear this debris in the pipeline to ensure that the Vinex system becomes operational and actually is the needed 8 megaliters per day? And is this plan, and when is this plan going to start, and when is it going to end? Because apparently just clearing the debris, I think I heard Ms. Makana indicating that, if I'm not mistaken, that it would be by end of December. That's highly worrying if that would be the time frame put on to ensure that this actually system becomes operational. Second, Chair, on the issue of the flooding, James Clean Hands Water Treatment Works, that the pumps in the pipeline are actually being flooded, often flooded. And then this incident of flooding has become so common. And the report is indicating that the department and the water board are suspecting that the process controllers might be perhaps responsible. Now, they are indicating that investigation is undertaken. What are the timeframes of this investigation? When is it going to be finished? And I think some colleagues had indicated the need for the justification for the rise and the cost up to 290 million. Then this matter, Chair, cannot be overemphasized. That perhaps there needs to be consequence management for the contractors that had been contracted and failed to perform the duty. Because I think the spec was actually indicating what exactly needs to be done. And when that contractor was appointed, it had been subjected to the bid system, which actually evaluated all the necessary skills required of a contractor to perform the job, and then was given that particular post. Then therefore, when it is defaulting, there must be consequences, and there must be recovery of the monies that had actually been used to render, actually to do this system of. The other issue, Chair, the upgrading of 21 was also categorized to be taking 4 phases. Now we are told that it will be undertaken in 3 phases. What has happened to the last 4 phases? Thanks, Chair.
Honorable Gaza, I am giving you your 2 minutes if there's anything you missed out.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair, for your generosity. I'll use 2 minutes indeed, because these issues are important. Look, the diagnosis of from where we're coming from is that the post-1994 government has weakened its capacity to provide many of these services. Even sanitation there is mentioned in the Auditor General's report, as we're sitting with her yesterday. That they've weakened the capacity to provide the services. As a result, it is not able the municipality are not able to deliver on these services because they are over relying on external service providers who are not bringing value for money. And now, Chairperson, one thing, there's a slight difference between trust and legitimacy. You see, trust is the fact that I can trust that the government institutions as a residence will be able to deliver services even when I'm not attending to that. The fact that it goes to the extent that of protest, for instance, is the fact that people have the trust deficit has dropped, that the municipality will be able at any time soon to just complete anything without the invitation of external service providers who most of the time exit without completing these projects. And this is a common cause across municipalities. So we see the poor level of service delivery by the intensity of and frequency of service delivery protests. In 2018, there was more service delivery protests across the country, as it were. But what is the intervention of the province with regards to the inefficiencies of the Department of Water and Sanitation and Amatole Board and a contract and in terms of a delivery of these matters? The repeated findings, Chair, against the municipality are an indicator that it is indeed needs serious intervention. And what kind of intervention will the province give, given the poor performance which saw in the AG's report in terms of material irregularities as a consequence. And it is the communities that are suffering right now. They must give us time frames, Chair. Please, thank you.
Thank you. I'm not sure, Honorable Baba, you showed your face, whether you also wanted to take 2 minutes.
Chairperson, let me close this. Thank you, Chair. Chair, there is some many money that I don't know how can they gonna justify this money. There was a budget that was upgraded for James Glen Wayne's water treatment, amount of 101.8 million. Another one, it was 237.6 million. However, Chair, was it this indicated that the project is funded and at a total cost of 393 million, which Chair suggested that a cost overrunning of over 290 million, compared to the originally budget. How this cost? How that this cost, Chairperson, overruns sufficient, justified by this municipality, Chair? Thank you.
I'm sure now.
Chair.
Yes, Honorable Mpumza.
Chair, I have only the last question, Chair,
Yeah.
to the municipality. In this report, it is indicated that they are required by the law to budget an 8% for operation and maintenance. And one reason why saying that there is poor maintenance of the infrastructure arises out of the fact that the municipality is not actually budgeting that 8% for maintenance. Could we be informed by the municipality what are the factors that are inhibiting the municipality not to budget for this 8%, so that it is in a position to conduct operation and maintenance of infrastructure, enabling them to provide.
Honorable Mpumza.
I'm done, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Honorable DMs, Honorable Mayor and Chairperson of the Board.
Chair, we lost Mpumza, Chair. We lost Mpumza in the middle of explaining. Can he come back?
No, I'll explain that when the minister, deputy ministers, executive mayor and chairperson of the board, guided by them, of course, how we want to respond to the questions. I think Honorable Mpumza was asking the municipality why if it is not budgeting for maintenance, what is the reason for that? That's what Honorable Mpumza was asking Honorable Klaba. Can I hand over to yourselves, Deputy Minister Chabalala, the Mahlobo, as well as the Executive Mayor and the Chairperson of the Board? You can as well direct us as to who should start to do what. Over to you, DM.
All right, thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. Truly appreciate the robust engagement from members of Parliament. Chair, I think from our side, as DWS, what needs to happen is that there's a number of questions that have been raised, and of course, there will be municipality questions that the municipality will then have to guide from the mayor's side, who takes on some of the questions. But from our side, there's a number of questions on the project itself. I mean, Honorable Gisela Oppenheim has asked issues on the construction of the project placement, the issues of the recovery. Honorable Ms. Portia, please come onto that and speak about the recovery, the construction, the escalation of the pricing insofar as the project itself, the contractor that was contracted, and whether there was recovery that was done from the contractor itself. and the timelines that we've stipulated, that end of June, this would have happened. Indeed, I agree with the comments that said that there is lots of interest, especially on the comments with the portfolio and what we are seeing. And it's quite important because it's giving us a bird's eye view to see the extent of the challenges that the municipality obviously is facing. So if you can just explain and tell us about the project. I know there's a project manager that we have here that has been tasked to manage the project. So you should be in a position, as the questions were coming, to be able to guide all the officials there with yourselves who's supposed to do what, including the Amatole board. Honorable, Gaza has asked questions on the municipality around service delivery on time, the upgrade of the treatment works. If the municipality can also speaks to that, whether do we have an SIU report around this issue, the name of the company. I don't see why the company and the name should be hidden to honorable members. The name of the company, the honorable members should know who's this contractor, who's this company. So I want somebody to speak to that because all we were told, the company phase 1, phase 2, they did, then they were liquidated. And after, because of COVID-19, there was financial issues that they had, and the company, so if you can speak to that, Portia, as well. The poor performance on the contract around the MFMA, what Honorable Gaza spoke to, I need the municipality to also respond to that. The issue of E. coli, Portia, come into around the E. coli from where we are with that, just to reassure the work that we're doing there. The work with the Department of Health, any mitigation strategy, as much as we would have committed that there's already in 2 weeks, you've been having a discussion with the Department of Health and working around that. The Honorable Eleanor Spice, I think he speaks more of the contract as well. There's number of recommendations that he makes to the portfolio committee. I would like to think the portfolio committee will make their own determination as to how you would want to deal with these matters. There's issues around municipalities should respond about people who are qualified, who are handling these matters from the municipality. If you can give confidence to members of parliament and account as to the persons that you've included, that you've employed, whether they're fit and proper for the work. There's issues around chlorine. Portia, I want you to speak about the chlorine and the gas chlorine. If you can respond to that, because I know we shouldn't be using, we don't use a pool chlorine to deal with this. Honorable Smail, transparency, yes, I agree with you. We need to be as transparent. Phase 1 and phase 2, whether there was any forensic report or required. I think the question should also be the accounting of the phase 1, whether it was done through the project plan on the timeline, and whether there was any escalation and so forth, before we can also do maybe forensic reports. But I don't disagree with it. I'm just saying that perhaps the accountability of phase 1 and phase 2 and how it was done is what is you need. And I don't see why the department will not make that information available. I will make sure with Dear Mahlobo that information is available to yourself. The lack of maintenance and whether we've planned for that maintenance is quite important. Honorable Twaba has spoken to contract the Mulambo construction, the due diligence, and that question has been cutting across that we've undertaken as a department. I want the department to respond to that. And of course, from our side, we also have Mr. DDG Rismati that is responsible now as we are intervening, honorable members, and seeing there's a challenge and we're coming in from a national level and say, let's rescue the situation. He will speak to what is it that we're planning for and moving forward just for this intervention that we're doing. He can come later after all the responses has been done. Honorable Mpumza, I agree with you. Minister has even said to us, water tankering, it's not something that we want to sustain because we know the impact of it. We want taps. We want people to have water within their own taps. And that is, hence we've got this national plan that we're developing. The notice that the department has issued is the department can also, the municipality can speak to about. We've noted the matters Honorable Teza has just spoken to, and Honorable Mpumza, the municipality should be able to respond. So I'll hand over to yourself, Portia, through the chairperson. Then you're going to allow your people to respond to specific matters. When you've done with doing that, then we need to hand over to the municipality from the mayor for them to delegate the person who's going to respond specifically on those issues that have been raised. Then afterwards, Honorable Chair will give Honorable Mahlobo to also speak to these matters. Then I will also come as the last person, if you were to allow chairperson. Thank you.
Allowed.
All right, Portia, come in.
Thank you, Honorable. I'm sorry, I was trying to unmute. I'm sitting here with my Director Regulations dealing with water quality, and I'm sitting with the acting CEO of Amatole Water. But I think, Honorable DM, just in a nutshell, the different costs of the project largely stems from the condition that we find on the ground. Initially, when the project was planned, it was largely to just refurbish the treatment works to bring it to a reliable and functional state. However, because of drought that has kicked in during, as we know, the Eastern Cape has been hit by drought since 2015. There were initial thoughts of putting in a package plant so that more water can be treated at James Glenards, because the Vinek catchment system, that one was hit by drought, and there was limited resources to operate that plant and meet that demand of that site. So various options were considered, and the most reliable and viable option was to move just from upgrading the treatment plant to actually build an additional 10 megaliters with its associated infrastructure to be able to move to where to do what we are doing currently. However, as we are doing that, despite the fact that there has been COVID, there has been increase of steel, we would know that just after COVID, the country has been suffering in terms of availability of steel, the escalation of cost and all of that. But besides the fact that there were issues around that, plus the issues that I already alluded to of Winwater, which was initially there, and Mamlambo is the contractor that was there, who then was liquidated. Besides that, as we are there and we're talking about the risk, managing the risk, now this current phase, that is, I mean, this current cost that has been reviewed has led to another review of how do we move offsite, knowing that we have managed, or the biggest risk is then again the flooding. Given that the Makanda will be relying largely on this plant for 20 megaliters, how do we manage the issue of flooding again? It is to install, as it is indicated in the maps, there is a red pipeline that is then going to be installed at the bottom of, as I've said, it is below surface. These pumps are like in a hole. So that pipe is to drain water, not to accumulate and flood the pumps, but to be drawn away to the river. And it is costed each and every cost escalation, and all of these phases, they are costed, and every item is in the presentation as it is currently. So that one is the reason why it is not a contractor costing for the same thing and the cost escalates. It is the conditions that are changing, moving from simply upgrading to actually double the treatment capacity, and now to look at future sustainability, and that is to avoid the flooding, which has been a major issue. And just on the issue of debris and silt that is in the Vinek system on that side, and I want to also say that these are two different systems, so the funding we're talking to is just about James Glenards. on the question that has been asked as to why does it take so long to remove the debris and all, we're talking about a dam that is 100% full, up to 14 meters deep, where divers must go in and manually get into the pipeline that will take water on the outlet from the dam to the pump station. That is a very dangerous exercise, and a lot of safety measures need to be looked at. And we are hoping that within 2 weeks, they should have cleared the debris, because currently, as the initial results would show, as they give feedback every time they come, they have estimated 6 feet of accumulation of silt and debris, which is what they are trying to clean currently. And I would then ask Andrew to just talk about the frequency of sampling from Makana and what is the current percentage on that compliance and the E. coli aspect. Then Mr. Koyo would just add to the issue of James Glenhans.
Good morning, Chairperson. Manasaya Protocol observed. It's Andrew Lucas. I'm just wanting to confirm that in terms of South African national standards, the drinking water quality requirements
Sorry. I think I should have said it with Ms. Makana as well. We want to see you. We can't talk to people who can't see. Proceed then.
Apologies, thank you, Chairperson. My name is Andrew Lucas. I'm responsible for regulation in the Eastern Cape region. In terms of South African National Standards 0241, it requires our water service authorities to sample their drinking water on a routine basis. And for the size of the communities in Makanda, it is required that taps are sampled monthly and at the treatment works weekly. Now, the Makana municipality has got a contract with IDZ to have their samples analyzed monthly, and they have included a contract or an agreement with Rhodes University to ensure that weekly samples are also done. In terms of the compliance record on our IRIS system, the microbiological compliance was 85.4%. South African national standards requires a good quality to be 97%. The chemical compliance was 97%. The aesthetic quality, or compliance, which is related to turbidities, would be 90%, and disinfection was low at 12%. I'm not too sure if the correct limits are correctly set on the compliance system. We need to clarify that. But it does show that they've been poorly performing in terms of the performance, but they are monitoring, and we are keeping a track on them. Thank you, Chair.
And the current?
This is the current period for the period in this financial year that we are reporting on.
Thank you, through your Chairperson, Mr. Paul.
Thank you, good day, Chairperson, and on protocol observed. Chair, just adding from what the provincial head has presented in terms of the cost escalation, which covers the phases that were initially planned, also talking to the fact that, Chair, initially, what was envisaged was that James Glenhans would take about 4 phases to complete. And also one of the issues was the issue of the budget availability when the project started, which will have to cover all the phases. So we had to start the project in terms of how we execute it. We have since combined phase 3 and phase 4 into one phase, which now takes us to only 3 phases. And with the last phase, the one that the provincial head has touched on, that will deal with the issues of the drainage, which only now we have to now make sure that it is actually implemented to prevent the future flooding of the pump station. And the other question, Chair, in terms of the monitoring, the project did experience delays due to one, the poor performance of the contractor, and around 2020, the issue that affected the entire country in terms of COVID, which also caused significant delays in terms of the project completion and execution. We finally managed to terminate Mamlambo around June last year, Chair, after making sure and doing everything we could to assist the project to continue towards completion. But as we're attempting to achieve completion with Mamlambo, the company was then subjected to liquidation. And since then, Amatole Water had to then finalize the termination. Mamlambo is terminated. There are penalties due to Amatole Water due to poor performance by Mamlambo. It's the subject of the liquidation process, Chairperson. Our lawyers are also following that up with the liquidators because Amatole Water is one of the companies owned by Mamlambo on the penalty side. So I was just responding to the question whether there are penalties. So we are then following that through the liquidators, Chairperson, which is a process that both the engineer and our lawyers are following. Then the replacement contractor is waste water and wastewater technologies. They assumed full activity on site this January, Chair, with the targeted delivery of the 10 additional megaliters that we are earmarking for the 30th of June. In terms of the current program, Chair, that we are monitoring on a weekly basis, we do have a permanent resident engineer on site, and also from the project implementation side from Amatole Water, we do have a dedicated project manager that ensures that all the activities scheduled the week are followed through. If there are adjustments, we are timely advised, Chairperson. We still feeling confident, Chairperson, that we are still on track to make sure that the plant is able to deliver the additional cumulative 20 megaliters by the 30th of June, with the project being monitored very closely, Chairperson, to manage the risk as well as to make sure that we do not deviate from the timelines that we have communicated and we've undertook to deliver on, Chairperson. Yes, of course, the project, which is the current phase 2, Chairperson, overall, we are targeting December just to complete issues like the paving and also fencing, but the ability of the plant to be able to push cumulatively 20 megaliters is the 30th of June. Other associated work will still continue up to December, Chairperson. With phase 3, that also we have started to finalize the plans to make sure that we prevent the risk of flooding the pump station, which is critical in terms of the delivery of water from the James Lennox water treatment plant, Chairperson. Yes, Chair, I think I've attempted to respond to some of the questions with the contractor, which is the one that I've currently mentioned, that is water and wastewater technologies. We're monitoring every week, and the project timelines, Chairperson, we're monitoring on a weekly basis, and we're still confident that we'll meet the targeted critical path of having that water by the 30th of June. Thank you, Chair.
Chairperson, there was also a question that are we ready? Should there be any outbreak on what are we doing? As I've said, there's already a task team established that involves Department of Education, Department of Health, the Disaster Management Center, and all municipalities as water services authorities. As we are saying, let's not hear it from the media. Let's closely monitor and immediately respond when we see that there are red flags, and the ongoing awareness creation and education around waterborne diseases. So COPTA, Department of Health, and all municipalities, Department of Education, and the Disaster Management Center, we have a WhatsApp group where we are actually alerting one another on and so that once we are able to pick up any symptoms or any red flags, we are able to respond, Chairperson. Thank you, Chairperson.
The chairperson is the DM. Over to.
Thank you so much. There was a question pushed here on the issue of load shedding and the pumping. Any plans that we have around that you want to speak to in terms of sources of energy? What is it that we're going to do to make sure that we are not impacted upon as in when this happens? I wanted to respond to that, but also to say that for you're thinking that in 2 weeks you'll be able to deal with the debris and the clearing. We need you to speak to detail and say that if it's 2 weeks, you're saying this is the timeline, this is how we're going to do it at this time, so that we just don't respond that we think in 2 weeks we should be able to do that. Can you come in those 2 points, please?
Thank you, DM. In terms of load shedding, as we have indicated, James Hans has been exempted from load shedding, and we have actually, as a department, as the provincial office, engaged ESCOM on the number, not only the Harvest and Sport side and other plants that are affected that we think should be exempted from load shedding, and they are considering those requests. But I think Makana can also say more, because it's also related to the debt owed by the municipality to ESCOM, and I know they have had other engagements in that regard. I'm sure they can maybe add on what I'm saying. The 2 weeks that I'm talking to, I'm sure Mr. Koleka, who is head of operations, responsible for the team, can add, but it is based on the day-to-day feedback we're getting. In fact, we are very conservative to talk about the next 2 weeks, because they are giving us indications on a daily basis. They are on site as we speak, and it is a private firm, diving experts that are currently doing the work. So based on what they are telling us, we've taken a conservative time frame to say at least 2 weeks, but it's based on the reporting that we're getting on a daily basis and feedback. I don't know if Oliver, you want to add something.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. True, all protocol observed. Just to add, Chair, while the divers are doing that work and they are reporting as indicated by the provincial head on a daily basis, we are also doing all the associated work, aligning the pumps, making sure that there are no blockages, having a camera to inspect the pipeline, so that we make sure that once that silt that is on the entrance of the pipe that we are drawing from is delivered, every other associated infrastructure is clear of all the possible blockages. So we are doing that work and make sure that by the time they finish that, everything else that was associated has already been checked, and that work is working as per the plan. If they could manage to deliver at earlier time, as we are pushing them on a daily basis, we'll also be ready on the other associated work to be able to push the work. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for that. Let me give the mayor. Mayor, can you respond to a number of issues that have been raised, including what we saw in the comments around the municipality, the capacity, the billing matters that obviously the questions have came, the capacity there, whether we do have the persons that are employed, are they of the required standards, engineers qualified to do the work that they are doing. If you can respond on that, and obviously your community engagement, how far do you really communicate with the community insofar as those matters are concerned? I think we'll come back again to DWS. On the water license, there was a point around Honorable Smile Smail, I'm sorry to pronounce you wrongly, where you asked the questions around the water licensing, if the regulation can speak to that. Over to you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Honorable DM. Greetings to the meeting, Honorable Chair, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, members of the board of the Amatola, the departments that are present, and yeah, everyone that is in the meeting, good day. Honorable Minister, let me, I'll be responding with my Director of Technical and Engineering and also the Manager of Water and Sanitation will also add where there are gaps. I'll just come in on political questions and they will respond on some operational issues. Honorable Chair, let me start by saying we're in a tripartite. Can I switch off the video now that everyone has seen me? Thank you. We are in a tripartite agreement with Amatola and its department, as the municipality being the beneficiaries in the project. There are good relations with the new acting board that was appointed after the contractor that was on site was out, and the new appointment we met and the relations are good. Honorable Chair, we do convene stakeholder meetings to give an update on the status of water. It's incorrect. It's not true that we're only reacting when there are protests for us to give EE reports on that. There are continuous engagements on the current status of water. We've been on site as the council, and we've been on site also with Amatola and the department, and we are continuously visiting the site whenever a need arises. A council report was tabled to council. Our council of the 26th of April, there was a formal report tabled to council, and during the month of April, we were busy with mayoral imbuzos and made sure that there was a separate detailed report that was giving an update on the status of water to the communities, which ended with the mayoral imbuzos ended on the 27th of May. There is also a scheduled meeting for the 19th of June with Amatola board and our stakeholders, where they will be giving, as Amatola, giving an update on the status of the project at James. Also, there are status updates that we are giving on a daily basis as far as water is concerned, and also to Chair, there are good relations. The stakeholders that you see that are writing on our chat, the 4 stakeholders have been participating meaningfully in the meetings that have been convened to give an update on the status of water. Chair, the employees that we have, the staff that we have in the institution have gone through the recruitment process, which we had clear requirements that were to be met, and they have been employed accordingly. So they meet the requirements for the post that they are occupying. Also, Chair, we are monitoring the project. We consult with our community, as I have said. I didn't capture the issue on the CFO resigning and all that. However, Chair, the current CFO that we have we joined the municipality last year in July after the previous CFO have resigned, and his reasons for resignation was for him being offered another post which was closer to home. I think I'm going to, Chair, we have budgeted for maintenance. Unfortunately, we are not meeting the 8%. We are around 5-6%, and that is due to the financial strength that we have internally, but we are working towards addressing that. There was never a local company that was responsible for our pumps. In the past, we have had challenges and we were supported by Amatola around 2017, I think 2017, 2018. It was Amatola that was on site working with the municipality. So we've never had any local contractor that was working on our pumps. I'm going to request, Chair, that through you to give Director Kitana to come in on operational matters and also being supported by Mr. Maduna, who's our manager for water and sanitation. Through you, Chair. Thank you very much. Hello, Chair.
Yes,
DM?
Continue. Hand over to your officials.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Director Kitana, can you please come in?
Yes, sorry for that. I was just trying to switch off one of the gadgets. Greetings to the honorable leadership present. Trying to open up the video. Not sure, Chair, whether there's a problem with my video. I was trying to open it up, but unfortunately it can't open.
No, proceed.
Okay. I will just add to what Honorable Mayor and the department has already alluded to, maybe starting with the issue of downtimes and the effects of load shedding. Indeed, the issue of load shedding, especially around Ivainec, is as a result of the fact that housing spots and Ivainec are not.
Chairperson. Sorry. Honorable Taza, what is the problem?
There's no problem, Chair. It's just the presenter. She can move what is stopping us from. There's a black thing there that is in the screen. Maybe there's something in front of the camera there. So that
perhaps because they've seen you, you can switch off your camera so it doesn't disturb the flow of what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for that. Now I also noticed, but I don't know what is it because there's nothing. Yeah. So in as far as housing spot and Ivainec, really the effect that we are not being exempted is having a negative effect in terms of that side. But there are also discussions that we were doing as the municipality with Eskom in terms of maybe taking that line and putting it in a more remote area than being connected to the urbanized area where they've got a number of clients and making them not to be it to be possible for them to exempt the municipality. Then the issue of so that is the major problem at the moment in terms of the finance scheme, as it has already been alluded to, is this problem of this unidentified problem that the divers are busy locating exactly. And in all fairness, I think the issue of aged infrastructure in that site is also a problem. I think Executive Mayor has already responded to the issue of personnel, but also there is also a need to close the gap in terms of some of the electricians and the process controllers to be fully aligned with the requirements of compliance requirements as determined by the regulators. Then the issue of calibration, Mr. Matuna will be responding to that as a water services manager. And also I think the department has already alluded to the issue of water quality standards. that is currently happening. I think as it has already been alluded to, and the previous reports really, Chair, as the municipality, really, we are still finding a challenge in terms of this issue of repairs and maintenance. But in all fairness, is that critical, as Makana has got this old infrastructure, we will have a problem until we are able to attend to these issues, of which really that is why our main focus is at least having a 20 megaliter supply from James Glenans and be able to alleviate, offload the pressure whilst we are attending to other problems like the one of house and sport that may need intensive refurbishments, even on the dam, especially between the dam wall and the pump station. So even the valves themselves, really, they are beyond maintenance life. So it is it is a number of issues contributing, both varying from the issue of the lack of age infrastructure as well as the lack of maintenance. The issue of tankers that we are currently utilizing, it's tankers from Makana and the Department of Water and Sanitation through Amatole Water, the contract they are having with Amatole Water. There are no cost implications associated with hiring, but it's cost implications that may be associated with the running costs of those. So there is no money. There are no implications in as far as hiring of cost. In as far as that. Then in terms of the flooding, I will just maybe cite the three flooding that has happened. With the first one of 2021, there is a current disciplinary process that is taking underway where there is an element of negligence that has been identified. Then the second one, because it was a failure of pumps, and as Mrs. Poshia, Ms. Makanya has indicated that because the plant itself, it requires an ongoing scouring or draining of water out of the plants so that they don't accumulate. When the automated pump fails, it requires an immediate backup. So the process controllers, they utilized a manual pump to try and drain the water, but the one on site failed. They called for a backup, which also failed. I think there were 4 pumps that were brought in on site. All of them kept on not draining the water fully. And at the time they started to work, the water had already accumulated to a level of motors, and they had already been damaged. With the previous one, Honorable Chair, there was a problem of a storm. There was a storm, a natural storm that occurred, which affected the ESCOM pipeline. I mean the ESCOM power lines around the area in which, on the grid in which the James Glenans, which is not exempted, is connected. So the entire area was affected, including the plant, as well as there were issues of network. So it affected the automatic pump that we have on site because it could not drain water, as the water on the discharge line kept on now coming back to the plant. Then even the pump on site, the manual one, worked to an extent, but it ceased to work. And unfortunately, as the operators on site were trying to get a backup, it was difficult for them as there were issues of a network. So critical is that with these 2 incidents, whilst we are processing the reports, especially with the last one, internally, we can provide the reports in terms of what has been identified. But really, it's a very thin line to identify man-made when there is also issues natural effect like storm, as well as leading to other failure contributing areas, variables even beyond that. So all of those issues, Chair, especially with the effects of load shedding, are resulting, one problem leads to the other. So it's all of those, but critical is that really close attention to upgrades on the existing infrastructure as well as maintenance is what jointly with the department and Amatole Water we are trying to close that gap. Thank you, Chair. Mr. Maduna, we can add on the other issues.
Good morning, honorable members. Thank you. That's principles. My name is Makana. I manage mine is just to add on a number of issues that we need to.
Chair, we cannot hear the speaker.
I just start share with the
Mr. Maduna, you're a bit far away from your gadget, so you need to come closer. I doubt that you can even hear me. Mr. Maduna.
Every alternative days, relative to supplying water.
Hello,
Oh, yes.
Chair. Can we assist the Deputy Minister? Mr. Maduna is very far. We can't hear him.
Mr. Maduna, come closer to your gadget, Miner, and switch off your mic. We've seen you, so switch off your mic. You've muted yourself. We can't even hear. Somebody there from the office there, can you assist him, call him or something like that? Tell him to switch off his mic so that he can speak to the gadget, because he has muted himself. Honorable Mayor, Kausnet, Mama. All right, if you were to allow...
Mr. Maduna will join here. Someone called him from his gadget, from the gadget that he was using. So
sorry, honorable members, where is the chair of the committee?
Apologies, Chair.
I've been trying also to intervene, but nothing.
Can you get the secretary to then?
Honorable members, Honorable Tezla and Honorable Pava Nchaba, I allowed the Deputy Minister to facilitate responses to your questions. So she is doing that. It doesn't mean that I'm absent from the meeting. I'm available. Continue, DM.
Thank you so much, Chair.
Thanks for the intervention, Chair. They want to take over from you now.
No,
we just want the decorum. We wanted to understand what's going on, so that if the chair has a problem, then we can call on the secretary to call the chair. There's nothing like that. Don't prejudge us for those things. Don't do that.
No, we cannot do that, DM Mashobo. We cannot do that. This is our chairperson.
Honorable and Honorable Pava and Chap, let's allow the DM to facilitate responses.
All right. Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. We were still struggling with Mr. Maduna. I don't know if he's connected. Is Mr. Maduna back here?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes, he's back. He'll be using my gadget now. He had a problem with his. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Can you respond, please?
Thank you very much, DM. Apologies for that. As I was saying, perhaps maybe I will just have to start from scratch as I don't really know as to where I started not being audible. I was explaining, DM and honorable members, that the water infrastructure that we have, just like any other water infrastructure in the country, is designed in such a way that we are supposed to have to pressurize the system 24/7. Unfortunately, in Makana, that has not been the case, as we have been forced to ration water, as our demand is really higher than what we can supply.
And that has got also a ripple effect as far as the old infrastructure that we have, where we find ourselves where every time when we open our water system, our water into the system, we expose it to water hammering, which ultimately also lead to more leakages in the system. And that also is affecting our system in a very bad way. Unfortunately, it's a catch-22 situation where you either ration water in that manner, or you stand to have most of the communities not getting water because of the demand is higher than supply. Moreover, Chair, I would want to also talk about the issue, the recent outbreak of the E. coli that was picked up in our water samples. We supply our water currently with Vinet not operating. We supply our water once every 3 days. And as a result, what has happened is that we find ourselves where we've had to look into increasing our chlorine dosages at the treatment plants, because the chlorine is used to deactivate E. coli in water. And the absence of enough chlorine leads to then having the presence of E. coli. Now, the issue of not pressurizing our water system 24/7 leads to a number of things where we find ourselves where we get to a point you start to have ingestion of water from underground water, and also that can lead to contamination. And this is indicated in the results that we have, where we've picked up that we do not have failures on as far as our water treatment plant, as far as our reservoirs, but as far as the certain sampling points within the system, which we then suspect that indeed that is as a result of the pressure drop that we get in the system, leading to ingestion of water from outside the pipes into the pipes. We are heavily working hand in hand with Amatole Water Department of Water and Sanitation, Rhodes University, to try and address that. One of the things that we've been doing over the last week is to make sure that we boost our reservoirs as far as chlorine before we release our water into the system. And that has shown to have a positive progress as far as that. The important thing, Chair, that we would want to get to a point is that we would want to get to a point where we do not have any failures. On Sunday, that we took samples, and out of the samples that we took, which were I think about 16, we only got four failures, and these failures are occurring in more or less the same areas. We have since zoomed in onto those areas as to how we can reduce the number of failures as far as that. And we are hoping that the methods that we've taken between Sunday and now will be fruitful, and that will be also be clear once we've collected all the samples that we need to collect today to analyze as far as that. The issue of the strainers as far as the dam in Vinet, there are 3 intake strainers before the dam into the valve chamber. We are still trying to understand as to whether the debris that are found in the chamber, is it the kind of debris that happened before we we refurbished the strainers back in 2018, or it's the question of the mesh size that has been used as far as the strainers, as to how these debris are getting into the chamber. And indeed, as Amatole Water CE and provincial head has indicated, work is in progress there, and we are hoping that they will finish earlier than anticipated, as we are also monitoring them and pushing them, as we understand the urgency of the matter. I think Director also responded to the issue of the floods. I will not dwell much on that. The status of the status of the pumps. Indeed, the pumps are with the service providers, and we are hoping that before the 30th of June, we are pushing that before the 30th of June, all pumps, if not most, that we need will be back on site, and we will get to a point where we have two duty pumps and 2 standby pumps, as the pump station is designed to work like that. More importantly, Chair, that I perhaps also need to emphasize is that there has been a very it has been very difficult for us to do some part of maintenance as far as our system, especially on the part of JK, where we find ourselves where we are not able to have normal planned shutdowns for maintenance of our pump station. And this is mainly because of the high demand that we have relative to the low supply that we are providing. Normally, one is supposed to have planned shutdowns for these pump stations, so that things like your non-return valves, actuator valves are serviced and all that. And unfortunately, we are not able to do that now because we don't have redundancy as far as the supply with all the work that is happening on both sides. And once we do have redundancies as far as water supply relative to water demand, normal maintenance schedules will be planned and executed so that we are able to maintain our infrastructure as we should. And our understanding also is that once we also have that supply versus demand, where supply is higher than demand, we will be able to keep our system pressurized at all times. And that will also assist as far as the reduction of leakages in the network. It will also assist as far as keeping our chlorine, our free chlorine level more or less high as it should be, so that we do not have any contaminations that are coming into the system from the underground laid pipes that we have. Chair, I think for now I will stop there, and if there are any further questions, we will. Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's do that. I'm not too sure how much time do I have with these responses. Of course, the number of questions, and we're kind of a tier type of situation here in terms of responding. We also want to bring in the Amatole. You would also appreciate, Ms. Pam, that there's been a concern on the ability to maintain and ensure reliable water supply to the municipality. Now, given that there is current internal matters at the Water Services Authority, and you know, that would have largely contributed to the current operational challenges, and department would have mobilized resources from its own entity, being the Amatole Water Board, to stabilize the supply. So I wanted to speak around this operational sustainability so that we can allay the fears honorable members as the intervention there. So I want to bring yourself, Portia, and immediately when Portia is done, then I'm going to bring the COGTA, because the province, it was recorded that the province is here from COGTA, and you would hear a number of very challenges issues with regards to the municipality. I think it's only fair that also the COGTA from its side, given the concern that was raised by a member of parliament around the Auditor General and COGTA, that AG would have recommended, of course, but I really think that the AG and COGTA should strive to find some common ground regarding the potential, specifically irregularities identified in the process of appointing the latest cohort of implementing agency. And I think that you need to find a way that yourself and the AG, obviously through the value chain of parliament, be it in the next BRR, you should be able to update the portfolio committee how you've been resolving at the level of COGTA these matters on the municipality. So if you can come as the last person after Ms. Pam, so I can immediately go to Honorable Masobo. Come in, Ms. Pam.
Thank you very much, Honorable DM. I think that on the issues of, there's two issues on our side. The first one relates to the James Cleanance project, which I think has been responded to by Mr. Goy. With regard to the more immediate issues, which the DM is asking me to respond to, and the operational plan around that, and what we have in place to make sure that there is sustainability. I'm going to ask, with your permission, DM, Mr. Koleka, who's our head of operations, whose team has been on site and been working on implementing the work in the short term. So it's better if he responds to the question, if it's okay, dear.
Yes, that's fine, ma'am. He can go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. To come into that, what we've done with the...
Let us see you. Just switch on your video so we can see you, then we can switch it off. All right.
Thank you. To respond on that one quickly, with the tripartite intervention that we have now, what we've done is to complement the technical staff and the operational staff of Makana with the Amatole Water staff, so that we can work jointly to ensure that all those technical and operational issues that were there, we are blending our resources to make sure that the whole infrastructure is put back to its operational conditions, and we can be able to restore the full capacities of the plant. And that is the one that we have jointly now started working together, and also those bringing of those specialists of like the divers and all that. That's what jointly now we're starting to work together to ensure that there is a sustainable way of delivering the water within the municipality. Thank you very much, Chair.
All right, thank you. Are you okay, Ms. Pam? Should I proceed?
Yes, Honorable DM. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. The provincial head of the COGTA, are you here? I wouldn't know your name at this point. Are you here? Do you want to say anything around the AGs and the interventions as well, that you're making sure that you're intervening in the municipality in other areas? Because we are only intervening on the issue of the treatment works. Okay. All right. If there's no one, I don't see any indications.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chair. Oh, sorry.
Switch on your mic. Okay. All right. Please come in.
Thank you very much, Chair. Can I then switch it off? My name is Andy Lefan, HOD COGTA in the Eastern Cape.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to switch off, Andy.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable GM and honorable members in the meeting. So just to indicate first that when the portfolio committee was at Makanda, we realized that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But you also understand, honorable members, that the municipality is under the financial recovery plan by National Treasury, where certain things needs to be attended to. What we have done too as well, when the mayor was emphasizing the point to us as provincial departments that we must assist Makana, we also dispatched a team. The process, the issue of dispatching a team was around looking at whether we cannot do other things outside the financial recovery plan, because that's an intervention that is there. And look whether the financial recovery plan is assisting on a number of things. We then picked up a number of things that are low-hanging fruits that we can quickly deal with. In the case of Makana not even having, struggling to have even its own budget. We have looked at the government debt that is there. We're dealing with it. We have looked at all the debts that government is supposed to be paying to Makana. The second point is that which we identified, which is also a cry from the municipality, was the issue of skills, that are shortage of skills. We have then asked them to provide their skills audit, because we will have to approach MISA to begin to look at the areas where there are weaknesses. I think the municipality did not have a project management, the head of the project management unit for some time. They made an advert. They did not attract any candidate. They made a second advert. In that advert, well, we have requested them that if nothing is coming out, we will not wait for that. We have asked MISA to look at whether we cannot put people there that can help in terms of assisting in terms of project management. We have since realized that in the technical skills, there's a shortage of the technical skills, but we didn't want to jump into that only. But our priority as well would be looking at the technical skills. We have picked up that as well, that the municipality, people come in and resign. We have asked administrators to look at the costs, and whilst looking at the costs, we should not have a gap, because we know now there's one manager that is going to, the contract is ending. They have advertised, we have processed now somebody to help them in making sure that there are interviews that are taking place. We are coming back again there, because we have identified the following, that there are labor relations issues where we feel that managers at that level should be a bit hard in taking certain stance in terms of dealing with the labor challenges that are there. I'm talking about labor challenges as indicated here, that sometimes people would not be on site to make sure that they monitor the water challenges. I think DWS is indicating, because we're working together, that as well, they are trying their level best to close that gap. The other matter that we raised, that there are pumps, there's a company that has not delivered the pumps since February and all that. We have put a deadline to the municipality, and the municipality should indicate where we can assist them legally. We even suggested that if the service provider is not delivering such, we must consider sending a sheriff to make sure that we recoup the money that the service provider is supposed to have. The service provider is supposed to deliver for the municipality. We will be now looking at the issues relating to outcomes of the auditor general. But also we requested that the municipality must do an application now for the debt that they are facing in terms of ESCOM, because to check whether they are not going to get a debt relief. But further, this issue of meter readers, we also talked about it to say we'll try our level best to make sure that if there are meters, at least they must be read remotely, but that in itself would need resources, and COCTA would work with other parties to look whether I cannot assist, and then just change retrain the meter readers to do something else. So there's work that is being done, but the only worry that we can indicate is that the financial recovery plan, if we cannot run it parallel with all these challenges what we are facing, then there's a problem. We are happy a bit about the progress that has been undertaken, but we are saying even if we are happy a bit, not that much, communities would not see that. So we must as well concentrate on infrastructure issues. The team that is there, which is coming back next week as well, composed of the Department of Transport for infrastructure issues that is dealing with roads, while DWS is part of that, Provincial Treasury is part of that, Office of the Premier is part of that, and we'll be engaging as well ESCOM to look at a number of things. We did ask municipalities it will apply as well for ESCOM to relieve them from the load shedding element. We know that ESCOM was saying some other areas are embedded. They cannot just isolate the municipality in itself. If they isolate it, it would be a problem. And ESCOM was encouraging us that they must look at the case municipality by municipality. So the teams have been given tasks as well on the pipes of asbestos. I didn't mention that the Department of Economic Environment and the DIT is part of that as well, part of the team. We have given each other tasks. We going back there next week. We also said that if we cannot be certain about the end of June, where people are being promised that there's work that, there will be water flow, there's going to be a problem. We need as technocrats to meet and look at the issue so that if really water must flow at the end of June, it must flow. And I think that the MM was tasked to call for us to sit with the technocrats of Amatole Water and those that are on the field in terms of consultants and engineers to look whether that is feasible so that a clear communication is done to the people of the Makana. Thank you very much, John.
All right, thank you so much. I'm going to bring DDG Rismati as the person who's responsible at the head office, but also bringing immediately after him, then Dear Masobo will close it. Rismati, I need you to speak to, firstly, for us, I think it's quite important at the level where we are, that there needs to be an evaluation, specifically on the responses on the compliance side and the identified failures that we can hear, if not challenges that we hear. So that we are able, our support is mostly consolidated. One, the drought itself, I want you to check on that, the recovery from the drought with the Glen Melville Dam, and which was reported that it's never been affected, and that would have meant that Makanda has enough water resources, but there's clearly a challenge. So the treatment and storage capacity, want you to look into as well in that. But what's more important for us, because we are getting in so far as the upgrading through the regional bulk infrastructure, they are big fund, and that's where we're coming in to ensure the support that we're giving to the Water Service Authority and improving the resilience that we're speaking about. And of course, what we aim to have, the 20 megaliters per day and 80 megaliters per day are completed once they are completed. But I'm just saying the two plans of Makanda will have, what they have insofar as the plans that we're hearing. But I just feel that we need to get a grip on it. And maybe you can just say something on that, as in how we can commit ourselves to the honorable members here at the level of our RBIC fund, the checks and balances and so forth. So just come in very smartly, quickly. You can switch on your video so they see you, then you can switch it off. Yes, coming to DG.
Thank you, DM. Thank you, Chair. And let me continue the same protocol established in the platform. DM, I think the presentation with what the provincial head and the emphasis put by the chair and the colleagues are quite clear. I think the few issues to take home, DM and chair and on members that with the intervention.
Rismati, please switch on your mic or you
project.
Switch off your, not your mic, but switch off your video, because we're kind of losing you there. I think your network is not that stable. So switch off the video. So yeah, you can continue.
Yes, I've done that. Is it better now?
Yes, it's much better now.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, DM. I was still saying there's already clear indication, Chair, that with the current intervention and the integrated scope for the GEMS, clean hands water treatment works, we will be able to have enough capacity in the area. They should, from the projected demand, is it better now?
Yes, we hear you. We hear you. Continue.
Okay. All right. So with the projected demand, there's basically a clear indication that we should be able to have enough water. And over and above that, with the current system that is down, although it's giving us about 7 or 8 megaliters a day or so, the way the system has been configured, once both systems are back in operation and also that 20 projected megaliters a day is in place, one can clearly draw a line in the sand DM and say there should be enough water for the area, and that in future, if one system gives us problem, specifically the one that is giving us the problem now, we should be able to have much more future supplementary system that covers the whole area. That on its own, it's actually positive. Yes, we recognize DM, there have been delays in terms of completion of this project. But then to move quickly to us consolidating the issues going forward, we will, from the department chair, also get closer to the issues in the municipality to relook at how much progress we have made. What are some of the issues that still need attention? A lot of issues have been raised in the platform. Some cut across issues of capacity. Some are quite internal. Some are basically the technical ability of the municipality, which are actually quite a gap. And I think most of us might have been aware that we released our watch report yesterday, which talks to such similar issues that the department is actually picking up. But the DM has indicated that we are doing more like a nationwide approach to assist all the municipalities where there are gaps through our WISDEC and RBIC. And DM, let me also make a submission through you to the chair and the honorable members that we will, through our water board, step closer again, relook at what has been achieved, what still needs to be achieved, and how far we can at least go on assisting the municipality, because this one intervention might not only be enough, and there's still quite a lot of work to be done. So not to prolong my response, let me say we'll take this matter outside the DM and chair, and then we'll relook at where are the few more other interventions that we need to look at, and we provide a much more comprehensive and a sustainable intervention for the municipality. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I think safe to say from our side, obviously at the level of the ministry, you will know that the minister is in cabinet today. I think we'll sit down at the level of the ministry and see, because the minister did indicate that we are going to visit the municipality quite soon, so that we ramp up that, and at least from your level, we'll be able to intervene. Already we're intervening. It's just a matter of checking the progress and the implementation through the Amatole. It's there and is doing a number of progress, and the provincial head, Ms. Koshia, there is doing what they can. Given the issue there, we must make sure that when we speak about timelines, let's speak to the timelines and do the checks and balance. Then we don't allow situation of contractors getting in and out. Let me give Dear Masogo, please come in, then you might as well close for all of us in terms of our responses. Then you can hand over to the Honorable Chairperson.
No, thank you very much, DM. Chairperson, Honorable Mkwati, and your members of the committee, and Honorable Comrade Executive Mayor Comrade Yandiswa, and your team, the Chair of Amatole Water, Comrade Sispemiako. Chairperson, on our side as a department, today we're led by DM Shabalala. We just want to commend your portfolio committee chairperson on the work that we've done. As a department, we will take responsibility, chairperson, in terms of the law, that in as much as most of this work is a municipal function, we have a responsibility to intervene and support municipalities. Also, COPTA has that particular responsibility. Listening to the input and the questions that have been made on our presentations, the joint presentation, we do share the frustrations, chairperson, that are experienced by the communities of Makana, that we have subjected them, we have subjected to these communities in a very untenable situation because that community has a right to have access to water and water that is safe to drink. And I must admit that in as much as some of the issues are historical, we're not there, but in terms of law, we're a successor in government. Therefore, we take the good and the bad. We must confirm that to the leadership of the portfolio committee, that the challenges that the presentation makes, Chairperson, around the issues of the abstraction difficulties in the housing port dam and the pump station, these difficulties, Chairperson, must be avoided. I would suggest DM Chabalala that DTG Martin, working with Ms. Makana and also the CEO of Makana Local Municipality, we deploy a team of engineers and supported by COPTA, especially the Municipal Infrastructure Support Agents. The reality is that Makana is unable to discharge its responsibility as a water services authority. And as a state, we've reached a point that in as much as we're handling the issues around the completion of incomplete projects, like your Klein Hans reservoir that is being upgraded. But the current management of water there will have to be able to come in to deploy a team. And at a particular point, at DM Shabalala, ourselves as a ministry, we should just visit Makana to support the executive mayor, but the communities there. But there has to be a deployment of a technical team just to beef up the current capacity. Why do I say these things, Chair? Yesterday, we were able to release preliminary results for the state of water in our country. And the preliminary results for the state of water in our country, when it comes to Makana Local Municipality, the water there is posing a lot of risks, both to the environment and human health. If you check the microbial content of water, our preliminary results there, especially even in the Klein Hans itself, it comes at 82.55%. And it's not what is desired by our drinking water standard in terms of SANS 241, and let alone the chemical component, which is running at 80.96%. In other words, we have a big risk there, and we should have all the hands on the deck. I could see that there is some insinuation that the department should do certain things. Remember, we're all guided by the legislation. Ultimately, the responsibility lies with the municipality as a water services authority. But therefore, if they fail to do what they are supposed to do, we must be in a position to support them. The issues around the management of finances, and I could see a number of allegations that are being made around issues of 600 million. We as a ministry will never say that if there's any institution that must investigate these matters, it must not investigate, because we want transparent and accountable governance. But in our records, we don't have the 600 million. We know the monies that were supported this municipality. And we are currently supporting them because they are struggling in terms of financial viability. Our interventions, Chairperson, around the Johnston Hans Reservoir, it remains our biggest priority, Chairperson. That's why the team led by DM Shabalala, we've reconfirmed that we are putting money in terms of the regional bulk infrastructure grant, more than 390 million, so that we can complete the phase 2. I know there is some concern and worry about the behavior of Amatole Water at a particular point. Indeed, Amatole Water, Chairperson, has some history that we're not proud of as a Ministry of Water and Sanitation. Hence, our intervention to stabilize governance, to appoint the board. Not only the board is also stabilizing the administration. Under the able leadership of Sis Miako, we are very, very confident because she's one of our turnaround specialists and work at various levels of government, that in as much as Amatole might have a history, but the current leadership is more than capable to be able to turn the situation around. Hence, our confidence in appointing them as an implementing agents. We do agree that the issues of financial difficulties that happened around contract management in the past, we can't continue to do that when we procure, because we need to do due diligence. We need to do due diligence, and people must have financial guarantees. And the grading must be the right grading, so that we can't from nowhere, we'll have to terminate on the basis that people can't complete those particular issues. Around the issues of supporting that municipality, all the issues of the system failure, especially around the pump stations that get flooded and get submerged and they can't pump. We have provided money to this municipality, Your Excellencies. We have provided money in terms of our water services improvement grant, which then demonstrates our commitment to resolve the problem so that we don't have that particular problem. But as we all know, the municipality, like we are saying, that probably TTG and the team come closer. You can't have a situation where all the pumps, you don't have the reserve capability. So that if the other pump gets flooded, then you have an issue, including the matter that working with COCTA and the municipality must follow. We cannot send this thing to manufacturers, and these manufacturers have no capacity to bring the pumps at the earliest convenience, because already the municipality has used some of the money we've given to do the payment in as much as they might have not concluded them. But it's going to be a very important issue that on how the system must be able to cater for risk management or disaster situation. That technical team must be able to look at how to optimize the current system. Chairperson, the issues of water pollution there, like I was saying, the microbial and the chemical content of water is not at the desired level, including some of the residents association that talks about issues of E. coli. There is a risk. There is a risk indeed that people might get to be a health risk, if I may use that word. And we should be able to work with that municipality to assist them. How do we provide water in the interim while we're dealing with those issues? I will suggest that the DTG with the MM in the municipality, you know that the demand is more than what you are authorized to abstract. Put in the license application for the additional water depending on the availability of the source. Because if you don't do that, you will have this additional capacity. But the issues of the ability to do the authorization to abstract will be a problem. And the department should be able to support you. And we should be able that within our timelines, because it's an emergency matter. So it can be synchronized with the completion of the project. Within 3 months, if all the necessary documentation are submitted, they should be supported, Chairperson. The last matter, there is issues of debts that the municipality owes us. That matter that we are being owed, there are discussions already between ourselves and the municipality so that we can be in a position to ring-fence this thing. And so that we can also be in a position that we are able also to deal with revenue management, because ultimately the issues of water, those who afford to pay, they must pay. Those who don't afford to pay, the government led by the ANC came out with a social security policy in terms of free basic water. And we should be able to provide free basic water to those that they deserve. But immediately they take more than what we need is a problem. I'm happy that the matter of load shedding is being attended to. And if the municipality has difficulties, our team led by the provincial head, Ms. Makana, including working with the district of Sarah Bartman, because it's very important that we look at that, because as part of our district development model, let's talk about the issues of the possibility of exemptions. And ESCOM has been able to assist in many areas as much as there are areas that we could not be in a position to exempt. But just to say, Chair, we are indeed committed and want to reassure the communities there that we will not allow that municipality to fail. And it's the responsibility for COGTA and ourselves that other matters of governance, the issues of stability in the administration, and all these other matters of capacity, they should be attended to. But on our side, we'll play that side and continuously report to you as a portfolio committee. But we should be able to make time, DM Shabalala, maybe including the minister. We want to go and visit Makana, and with the possibility of also interacting with the leaders of communities so that we can learn from their experiences and also allow private sector, including professionals, to support this municipality to make it work. Enkosi-ke mhlali ngaphambili. Mqwathi.
Yabulela.
Thank you so much, Chair. Over to you. Dear Mahlobo has closed it for us where we are. So yeah, thank you, Chair.
No, thank you very much. I'm sure as the committee, we asked many questions, and I think the way you were responding to it, I'm sure there are also lessons from members to say this is how. But I think what is critical, yes, I think that hand is helping me now. Those would be follow-ups, but very strictly 2 minutes at most. I see the hand of Honorable Mbumza. Can you come in, Honorable Mbumza?
Thank you once more, Chair. My follow-up question, Chair, relates to, I wanted to understand clearly what's the brief of these divers that I say they are there on a daily basis. Are they actually cleaning the debris? That's what I wanted to understand. Thank you.
You, Honorable Teza.
Just one question about the floods implication and negligence. Are there any persons that were held liable for negligence? And if so, where is the report in this regard? Because the other thing is that the residents are paying the rates, and if they are paying the rates, there were suggestions that were presented before by roads and other community members and stakeholders. Can you satisfy how and when should they get this clean water? Thanks, Chair.
Honorable Space.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I just wanted to find out, and it's been mentioned, I see on the platform, the national, the Grahamstown Arts Festival, which is a huge event on the calendar for that particular town, is coming up. I want to know what are the contingency plans that would assist with the festival being successful, but on the other hand, not impacting on the residents negatively.
Thank you. I think we were listening. Those who these questions that are follow-ups, any relevant, whether it's municipality, you can guide DM. I was not sure what to do this.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Ngiyabonga. For the divers, please, Director for Compliance, Monitoring and Enforcement, Mr. Andrew Lucas, together with the project manager, Bobas, if you can tell us about the divers. And the question is from Honorable Mbunza, exactly what are they diving for, what they're doing daily, and negligence. Also, Mr. Andrew Lucas, please talk to us about negligence from the side of enforcement. Then the question of Honorable Spees, the National Festival itself, I think the municipality can answer the state of readiness just to ensure that this event is not impacted upon. If the mayor can also come in. Just those 3 points quickly. Come in, Lucas.
Apology, DM. Mr. Kwelega, Head of Operations, working closely with the divers, is going to talk specifically to the brief to the divers and the timeframes. And I think the issue of negligence that led to flooding and whether someone has been held responsible in the report, I think the Makana Municipality is handling that one. And if you allow us, DM. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. On the issue of the divers, the estimated 6 feet debris that are blocking the outlets of the dam, which are 14 meters under the ground, are part of what the divers are diving to make sure that they open up those debris to make sure that the water can flow into those outlets, and also inspect the actual valves that are underneath there, whether the conditions are able to be opened. So it's part of the scope that they are doing. But the period that they've given is to keep on scooping those debris and the sort of silt that is around there so that they can make sure that that area is left open. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
All right, negligence. Are you coming in?
Yes, Chair, sorry, it's Asanda, Director. This particular one, Chair, I think I have already touched on it, that the process with the first incident, the process of is underway. So once concluded, we will definitely avail the report to the committee. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair. If I may come in on the issue of the state of readiness for the National Arts Festival. According to our time frames, Honorable Chair, we are looking at installing the Vinek water treatment plants by the 16th next week, and also having the pumps, all the pumps of drains back by the 16th of June, which will be next week, Friday. The National Arts Festival is starting on the 22nd of June. So we are working very hard in ensuring that by that time, at least we'll be in a better position to provide water on every second day. Also, that will depend, Honorable Chair, on the load shedding, because if Vinek treatment plant is not exempted on the load shedding, so that will, as it also impacts negatively in us being able to provide water to the communities. Thank you very much, Chair.
All right, Sabulela Chairperson, ungaithatha back kuthiwa nge-16th June, which is the Youth Day celebration, that we should have this sorted, if not the treatment plant running. So over to you, Chair.
Thank you very much, honorable members, because we have allowed the department to also make closing remarks. And out of what we have noted, one, there's commitment from all to say the deadline for the 30th of June, supplying enough water through that James Clean Hands will still be met. I'm sure in the platform where 99 messages were received, there was this indication that it is difficult to trust whatever that gets said. And I'm sure in response to that lack of trust, there's commitment now from both COCTA, Finance, and Department of Water and Sanitation to say there will be support to the municipality. And last, the ministry is committing to visit Makana. And that commitment obviously would engage communities. I think there's that task to make sure that we actually renew that confidence that if we say something, and with us as a portfolio committee, once the executive says this is what they are doing, our responsibility is to monitor. So in other words, there was no change on the commitment of the 30th of June. We are pleased with that. And that's what we'll be monitoring. And we are saying government should do anything, everything possible. 10 years with a crisis of water is not a child's play. And I'm sure you will also note some of the things, concerns raised by members to say public funds. In fact, once you use the term project, I think it must begin to have a meaning. And two, when we spend money from the public, we must get value for that money. And we must also sit on everybody who is part of that, whether it's from the private sector or anywhere, because we are getting used to this problem that we think throwing money into problems is going to solve problems. And I'm saying, no, let's get value for money, because we don't have all the funds throughout. But that commitment from the ministry to say ultimately they will be there, and the municipality in particular, the public must be engaged all the time. And unfortunately, I think you are better placed to understand your stakeholders more than us. That concludes the business of the day, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for the information and the response, attendance. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Goodbye, Chair.